Greetings, this is Tara Jackson, also known as Madam Money, and I love making money matters manageable. This is my questions and answers video. I've received several questions about money and credit, and instead of putting it in long blogs or long and tedious articles, I wanted to answer them in small bites. So I have a question that several people have asked, so I just want to give you a quick answer to the question. The question is how is my credit score calculated? Is race or finances taken in consideration? That's actually a very, very good question, a very common question. So I did want to clarify this for you today. The credit score is an anatomy. I call it the anatomy of a credit score. It has 5 different categories. It talks about how you make your monthly payments, how much you owe, your length of credit history, your credit mix or the diversity of credit, and your new credit. So those are the 5 areas that make up the credit score. Very easily, 35% of your credit score is how you pay your bills. So if you pay your bills on time and you have good payment history, it helps 35% of your score. The 30% of your score is how much you owe, and that's mainly on revolving debt like credit cards and lines of credit. So the less you owe, the better, and that helps 30% of your score. If you owe, say if you have a credit line of $1,000 and you owe more than $300 or more than $500, that's actually going to hurt your credit score because you have high utilization, and that's perceived as a risk. So the lower your balances are on revolving debt, the better. And usually keep the balances around 30% if at all possible. The next category is the length of credit history. I always say that your credit is like a fine wine and a fine woman. They get better with time. So the longer your credit history is, the better. And that helps 15% of your score. The next category is what's called the credit mixed or the diversity of credit. So you want to have a mixture of credit. So it really calculates, are you able to be responsible with different types of credit, with credit cards, with home loans, with auto loans, with finance loans? What type of credit is out on your credit? Just FYI, finance companies or finance loans on your credit report actually causes a negative effect on it. So be careful with how many finance companies you may have on your credit. But again, credit mix, the diversity of your credit is 10%. And lastly, new credit is 10% of your score. So that equates all your inquiries. So a lot of people say, I don't want to get a lot of inquiries because it's going to mess up my credit. Well, it looks at it within an 18 to 24 month period of time. It's only 10% of your credit score. And it also takes into consideration of how quickly you're obtaining new credit. So the more you're obtaining new credit too soon, that really has a negative effect on your credit score. The other area I wanted to talk about is race or finance taken in consideration. Legally, race cannot be taken in consideration. It's a mathematical algorithmic, whatever. I can't even pronounce it, but it's a mathematical equation based on those 5 categories, and race is not a part of those. People might find that in certain communities there are lower credit scores based on certain things, but the credit score is not calculated based on race. The next thing are finances taken in consideration? Finances are not necessarily taken in consideration, but it could be an integral part of it if you're not paying your bills on time. So where that finances comes into play is how you're making your payments, whether you're making your payments on time, and how much you owe. You don't owe too much, or based on that. So that's how your finances may be taken in consideration, but it's not a part of the equation, but it has an indirect effect on the equation. So hopefully I've answered your questions. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me at Tara, T-A-R-R-A, at tarajackson.com. Again, that's Tara, T-A-R-R-A, at tarajackson.com. I'd love to share your question and answer those questions so it can help someone else. Everyone have a very prosperous day.